same link, okay, you saw that sign? On the same link, you just click share watch party.
It's okay. I think I won't be able to figure out my phone right now.
You don't want, no? Okay, I will be sharing because I want to. So give me a bit, because I want to share it. Yeah. Okay. All I have to do is just press start. Can you see a start on that? You just scroll down. Do you see the start? Yes? No? You can you see a start, and then you will see the watch party? Like, can you see it?
Share? Is that what it
Yes.
is?
Yeah, share or start watch party. You can either share to your page or just start a watch party, whichever works for you.
I'm not seeing a watch party. Sorry.
Okay.
I see this. Is this what you mean? This part? That one.
Check in. Oh no, that's the screen. It's okay. That's the screen. That's the event itself. If you scroll down, do you see another link? Because you should see us live already. So if you scroll to Modern Asian Mother, you should see a live.
Wait, hold on. I should go to Modern Asian Mother.
Yeah, on the link, if you see the live.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and then do you see the video playing already?
Yes.
Okay, and then just click like share or watch party or whatever you want. And then just mute it. Lower the volume to mute. Lower the volume to mute, and then okay. And then just leave your phone, and then we'll just start. Yeah, proper.
Okay. Well, I hope it's
Yeah. Okay. Let me do a proper intro. So for now, we do have 12 people already. Okay. Wait. Let me mute my phone. Okay. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us on this session of Experts Insight, and whom I have is Lissy Puno. Yeah, she is a psychologist. It's her passion. Initially, she started doing this work to connect children with the kids, but after that, she realized that couple relationship is an area that she's passionate about. So as I spoke to her, she is the author of 3 books, one of which is Affairs Don't Just Happen. I think that's very realistic, you know. The other 2 would be How to Stay Connected and Couple Goals, right? Because just head knowledge with no clear actions would not be able to lead us to the happily ever after that we all want, that we all romanticized when we were young, right? We were all brought up with Cinderella and fairy tales, and guys are supposed to be the knight. So thank you, Lissy. Thank you for joining us. And I look forward to what you have to share with us, yeah?
Well, Junia, I love your energy. So I'm happy to be with your community here in Modern Asian Mother. I mean, it sounds like you have a passion for bringing information to many people. So I'm happy to be here with you and hopefully share some information with your listeners.
Thank you so much. And my heart is that we deal with the real questions. You know, in Asia, we are very conservative, and sometimes we keep our problems behind closed doors to ourselves instead of really seeking experts' advice. So I want to thank you because you are really making a difference from your years of experience and counseling to just answer the difficult questions, you know. So I have lined up a few questions that my viewers have written in to want to have answered. And I will just share them with you, yeah? So to begin, let's start on a high note. What is one most memorable turnaround relationship that you've seen, you know, so far?
You mean turnaround in terms of
from where?
Just connecting, just them reconnecting? I think maybe it's important to talk a little bit more about you know, just to be relevant to the times. I mean, what are people discovering about their relationship while during the circuit breaker time, right?
Yeah,
maybe we can talk a little bit about that.
Ken, that sounds good. And yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think this topic that you've decided to present in your show is very relevant,
Mm-hmm.
only because we know that couples have been on circuit breaker for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And because of this unexpected sort of like time together, some couples have discovered, a lot of maybe irritations, conflict, because being in this close, confined space. But at the same time, other people are finding out that they're enjoying the moments with their partners. There's more shared affection and all of that, right? But some couples have actually discovered that the marriages are a little bit empty, a little bit more distant, a little bit more disconnected. And I mean, these are red flags because this could make a relationship vulnerable to an affair.
Mm. Yeah.
So
I
I think, yeah, I think that people should be sort of like just mindful of this. What did the quarantine period reveal about your relationship? I mean, you're faced with how good or how bad it is. And maybe as we prepare to go post-COVID, I mean, it would be nice to sort of like, prepare our relationship for it and be able to do something good during circuit breaker, and that's to enhance our marriages.
Yeah. I so love what you brought up, because I think viewers out there, let me know your comments. Just type it in as to whether your marriage has grown stronger, or do you realize that seeing so much of each other is just a bit too much, So let us know. And what I've read in the news, Lisi, is that actually marriages are falling apart more. And I won't be surprised, because while, either the husband goes out, there is some distance. So absence does make the heart grow fonder. But when now parents have to work from home and we see each other 24/7, plus the kids, if there are kids at home, it is quite a lot to take in. And I would just love to hear, the strategies you have for keeping the marriage stronger, if not, keeping individuals sane during this time.
Right, right. So, you really want to make sure that, you're keeping marriages safe and strong, and using this time for the circuit breaker to do those things. And I think we decided to share with your viewers something easy to remember, right? The 4 C's. Is that what we thought we would do?
Yeah, okay. So Lisi has written a book, and this is taken from, is it the Affairs book? Affairs don't.
Well, it's in the first 2 books, which is The Affairs Don't Just Happen and Stay Connected. So
Mhm.
actually there are 8 C's, but today we're only going to talk about 4 C's, and we'll let them read the book and discover the rest of the C's, right?
Yeah, sure. So share with us what your
Let's go with the first C, right?
Yeah.
So one of the ingredients to a strong marriage is to care for one another,
Okay.
to make sure that we are in each other's calendars. And then
Okay.
I think the third is to have good communication styles. And the fourth is to stay connected. So, I think I want your viewers to, I mean, before going into detail, right? What marriages need would be a balance of emotional closeness, that we really know one another, we're sharing our deepest thoughts and feelings, that we are engaging in recreational fun, and that we are communicating effectively. So basically, this is what the 4 C's are. But what I want to tell you about caring behavior, we usually care for our partner the way we are familiar with, or the way we know how to give care, not realizing that our partners might want to be cared for in another way. So we
Okay.
want to be attuned, and we want to know our partners, what is our partner's love language, and just really make sure that we are offering our partners the proper care. Calendar is making sure that we have time for one another, and that we are prioritizing one another and safeguarding couple time. I think your viewers are young parents, so we want to make sure that young parents are prioritizing their relationship as couples, only because the children will leave the home eventually. You will have an empty nest, and you want to make sure that when that happens, you have safeguarded your couplehood and you want to continue to be with one another for the long haul. Junia, I know you have younger children, right? I know you have young children. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
make
so
sure you have your couple time.
yes, and this is where I want to ask you. So my husband and I, initially, we had our weekly dates. It's supposed to be on Friday for lunch, right? And I thoroughly enjoyed that because it was just him and me. But I realized that when we go out, we begin to talk about things, like whether it's about the kids, and we were just on our to-do list instead of enjoying each other. That's number one. The second thing that I wanted to ask you is, we are so stretched, right? Our scarcest resource is time. How do we practically set aside that time and the frequency to actually connect with the other partner? Is 15 minutes a day good, or should it be a weekly date?
Right. So, I usually sort of like recommend a particular kind of calendar. Well, first you mentioned a few things. Let me respond to that. When you are together on your couple date, hopefully it's gadget free, and hopefully you're not talking about the children or you're not talking about work. You're actually talking about yourselves. And I think that is really the most important, right? The second one is, when couples come to see me, we do just a basic sort of like structure. It's 15 to 20 minutes daily, okay, that you should connect with one another. And then there's a weekly couple date, that you want to sort of like make sure that you're having fun in each other's company. And then, of course, there's a weekly family time when the children are part of that. So yeah, I think if you're just mindful and conscious how you make sure that you go to the gym regularly, you make, you have business meetings with your team, the same with your marriage. I mean, it needs attention, it needs time, it needs effort. And so what you want to really do is to put it in your calendar. Make sure you safeguard and prioritize your time for each other and not to allow anything to invade it. So you said that, everyone is busy, there's so much busyness. Well, the reality is time can be created and you can safeguard yourself from this fast-paced life that we live in.
Okay, I get that. But what about our attitude? So assuming, and these are real questions, yeah, assuming it's in my calendar, but we happen to have a big fight, just 15 minutes ago, or probably a day ago, and we haven't reconciled. Is there a technique that, I just put aside, or, because the normal tendency is to just miss or skip one date, right?
You mean to skip one date because you had a fight?
Yeah. To just like,
How
what?
How about the reverse? How about the reverse? To continue the date, to reconnect. Yes. So it's all about attitude, right? And really, it's a choice. And I encourage couples to reconnect sooner, because the longer you wait, the wider the divide, and it becomes very difficult to reconnect if you take a longer time. And what's worrisome about that gap of time that you are not connected, something else or someone else might accidentally fill it up, and before you know it, you're caught in an affair. So you want to make sure that you're safeguarding your marriage 100%.
Wonderful. And I'm sure we have more nuggets moving forward. But let's finish up this C, because I do have quite a few questions that viewers were asking about an affair. Like in exactly what you say. I love what you say about, if it's always our choice, and if we choose to allow the gap to widen over weeks and months and even longer, it opens the door for unnecessary affairs. Yeah.
Right. So communicate effectively, communicate regularly, make sure that you're expressing your needs to one another, your thoughts, your feelings, and your dreams and passions for the future. And of course, all these three things will keep you connected. And what that actually means is that You turn towards each other as the most important person in each other's lives. You prioritize one another, you cherish one another, and you continue connect regularly to safeguard the marriage.
That's wonderful what you're sharing. And I think this is definitely critical. But I want to bring the conversation to a different angle where, assuming, we had this 4Cs in place, the marriage would be on very solid ground. Yeah. But what if there are many marriages today that doesn't have the 4Cs, right? There's no connection, there's a lack of communication, there's no care for each other. We don't speak each other's love language. So how then do we build a marriage? So for example, a very specific question, is it possible to save a marriage when only one party wants the marriage and the other one is just disinterested or just too tired? What's your advice?
Right. Unfortunately, a marriage is a relationship, right? So you need to be relating to one another. So if one person is refusing to relate, there won't be a marriage in existence. There won't be a relationship to build on the marriage, right? Or to anchor the marriage to. Because a marriage is a relationship and you must be relating to one another. Now, however, this doesn't mean that the marriage has to end. I hope that couples will be willing to do the work on their own or to do the work with a professional. But if they commit to work on the marriage, 86% of marriages recover from an affair. So that is a very number.
Yes.
So, you have to look at affairs as an unfortunate bump in the road, which is very hurtful and can create so much turmoil. But if you want to really hold on to the commitment, we know that healing and recovery can actually happen as long as we're willing to do the work. Now, the question is, I think your question is, how do people do that, right?
Yes.
So you understand what are some of the essential ingredients needed in a marriage. You start to do that. You close all the exits that has led to an affair and focus on one another, focus on the marriage in order to make sure that the relationship grows from there. So you want to remember that love is not only a feeling, because if you think of love as only a feeling, it's quite fleeting. You want to make sure, remember that love is also a decision. So if I choose and make a decision to love today and start acting and thinking in loving ways, then loving feelings will grow. So it's a matter of choosing, deciding, thinking, acting, how it is to be in a marriage for it to come alive.
Okay, I love what you say when you say 86% of couples actually repair the marriage, when both decide to do that. And my question is, as we close the exits, because emotions are still very real, right, and raw. So if one person, how do I handle, the internal turmoil when I found out my husband has already cheated? So yes, either one party says, I am committed, but how do I, like what they say, you forgive, but you don't forget. How do
you won't forget, right? You won't forget, and that could safeguard your marriage in order for you to be attentive and vigilant in order to make sure you take care of the marriage. But you also don't want to be obsessive about it, because then you keep the marriage like an elephant between the two of you. And you actually don't want to give power to the affair. Once you decided that you want to recover from it, then you want to deal with the emotions, the turmoil that come with the discovery, right? And a lot of people say, well, what about the memories? Okay, so there will be memories, there will be triggers from the affair, and you want to replace them with trustworthy behavior, with loving and caring behavior that the betrayer should actually work on to soothe the betrayed, right? So there is the party who was unfaithful, and there's a party who was hurt, it is the burden of proof. The burden of proof is in the betrayer to sort of like help the betrayed to sort of like recover from it, and both of them working on it together can hopefully bring them to a path of recovery.
Okay, I hear that.
Well, first you decide to close the exits of the affair. You educate yourselves on why the affair happened. You learn new skills in order to enhance the marriage and make it close and connected and caring and loving and all of that, and start safeguarding your marriage from it to happen.
I hear you. I hear you. But this, so this would take regular sessions with a professional, right?
Right. Well, the recovery period from an affair, based on some studies, is really 18 months to 3 years. Okay. So it takes a long time to recover from an affair. And at different stages in one's relationship, unfortunately, there will be triggers of pain. And you both will have to learn how to soothe it down in order to make sure that the triggers don't affect you both once more. So there will be memories that will always be there. Unfortunately, hopefully you can distance yourself from these memories. It is both your responsibility to see yourself through the pain after so much grieving and after so much turmoil, and just allowing yourself to have a new image of the relationship. But in order for you to have it, you will have to behave that way, think that way, and feel that way.
Okay, I hear you. And that's assuming both couples want to work on it. You know, would you have any advice to one couple to one partner who says, I'm done with it, I have no more feelings for you? Because you touch on the fact that a relationship is more than just feelings, because emotions are fleeting. And yet that's a very common excuse or reason that is given for not holding on to a marriage. Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's some couples who really come into our offices asking for help, and it's a little bit too late. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of years of negative ways of interacting. There's been multiple behaviors that have been hurtful, and unfortunately, for some, it's a bit too late. However, we don't lose hope. Any couple that wants to work on a marriage, it is always possible, as long as they're willing to put in time, effort, energy, and commitment. But as I think your question is, can one do it on their own? Well, they cannot. Now, you mentioned an excuse. People come in and say, well, I've fallen out of love, or I don't want to work on it anymore. Well, we can't force people, but we can give them information. You have to remember that upon discovery of the affair, the betrayer is still underneath a cloud of fantasy that the third party is better than the current relationship.
Okay.
So we first have to help them visualize how it will actually look like moving forward with the third party or with the affair in order to make a decision. So coming out of an affair, you're very emotional. It's not the time to make a decision, because you want to give your current relationship a fair chance. Can I actually get my needs met in my marriage rather than with another person? And so it's a whole process of trying to get yourself out of this fantasy world that this party is much better than my spouse. It's going to be a very difficult process, but you have to go through it in order to make a decision.
And what's the rainbow, for those who are willing to say, let's go through it? You've seen many marriages turn around, I'm sure. What's, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for those who choose to work on their marriage?
Well, the family is built upon this marriage. If the marriage ends, the whole family, that's what's at stake. And that's why the family is built upon the marriage, right? And so if this marriage ends, you want to think about losing the family. So yeah, I hope that's motivation enough, or that's the rainbow that you're talking about. You also can think about the person that you fell in love with, and what was the initial attraction. Hopefully those things that were attracted to you is still there. Life just happened and took away that image, and so it's for both of you to find your way back together. And the rainbow is really having a healthy, committed, loving marriage that is an option to everyone who wants to do the work.
I hear you, and I'm true, because like my marriage with my husband never used to be how it is today. I think we've matured over time. Like it hit rock bottom like 5 years ago, and I just really wanted a divorce. There was no third party, but just a lot of differences and working out. But in what you said, when we chose to hold on together, I'm more in love now, not just emotionally, but mentally connected. And honestly, I never thought it was possible. So 5 years ago, like what you said, I created the image of my partner being my best friend. Even though in the moment I was like, this is an idiot. How is it possible that this idiot can be my best friend? But having a best friend as my life partner was what I really wanted. And you are right, I worked on it,
Well,
But yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I think that's very important information. But so let me help you understand that. There are 3 stages in a relationship: the
Okay.
romantic love stage, the disillusionment stage, and authentic love. Okay.
Oh.
Now, romantic love will fade, romantic
Mhm.
love will end. And so, if we have an image of romance constantly, that's not really how life will be with our partner. So, there will be a period of disillusionment, which is, I think, what you're describing. And
Yes.
when that disillusionment happens, you want to hold on even more. And actually, now is the time to tweak the relationship. You are older, you're more settled, you have grown. Make your relationship right for you. Don't
Mm.
expect it to stay the same way throughout life, because right now we are married for longer periods of time, but we are changing and growing people, so we must grow together as a couple and grow together as partners.
Mm. And the authentic.
And so, yeah, and so then we can switch to the authentic love stage, which is made up of all the good ingredients that we're talking about in a marriage, so that we can prepare our marriage for the long haul. And the beauty of life right now is that because of medical technology, longevity has also expanded. We are living longer lives, and that means we're married for a longer period of time. So we want to make sure that our marriages are as healthy as our lives, so that we can share it with one another for the long haul.
Thank you for enlightening me on the 3 stages, because I think without even knowing, I went through it. And you are so right, because I think what caused us to fight so much and argue is we were in the disillusion stage, right? I had this image of what a husband should do, and he had this impression or this ideal of how the wife should be, and we were not meeting each other's perfection in our minds. And that was when it became hard. It's hard to live against an imaginary standard. Yeah. And but
Hey, Julia, now is the time. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but now is the time to show our other slide. You have
ah,
another slide: marriage expectations, right?
ah
So
yes.
what happens in the disillusionment stage is that we have these marital expectations that are not really true.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We imagine that we will always be doing everything together, but life gets busy. And
Yes.
if we have this expectation and our partners are not able to do it for us, then we feel that they've failed us. We think that we will always feel the same way about things, but guess what? We are different people. We will never feel exactly the same way about everything. And then you have that: you can meet my needs, you should always meet my needs. Well, your partner is also not perfect and might not be able to meet all your needs, right? and everything will be okay even if we don't work on our marriage. Our marriages will just flow as life will, and that we will always have some shared interests. But the truth is, these are all myths, right? And if we live our lives expecting this, then our partners may seem to fail us, but
Mm-hmm.
actually they're not. So please
Mm.
don't hold on to these marital myths or marital expectations, and just continue to be more realistic about what you can do for each other.
I love this five, and one thing I want to highlight, you can meet my needs. So, with husband and wife, like sex is one big thing. So what if, my question is, how important is sex in a marriage, especially if one party esteems it more than the other? So probably the other one is just exhausted after work. And, the other partner is like, hey, but I really want sex. What's your thought on that? Who,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Well, sexual intimacy, I mean, is one of the essential intimacies out of the 12 intimacies, right? I mean,
Okay.
so it is part of our nature, it is part of the need for it to happen there. But because of our physical makeup and just in terms of our physical stamina, there will be different levels of needs, right? And I think one of the more important things would be to realize that women need to feel emotionally close to be sexually intimate, while it is the opposite for men. Men need to have sexual intimacy to feel emotionally close. An interesting sort of like dynamic between men and women. Now, in the area of sexual intimacy, you want to make sure that you're keeping each other safe. Communicate about it, talk about it, and really find a way to discover your sexual dance. What is the rhythm of sexual intimacy that should be present in your life? And I can assure the couples out there, if you do the first three intimacies, then the fourth will flow naturally. If you are emotionally close, if you are having fun recreationally, if you are communicating in a very deep way, sex will flow naturally only because it is a manner of communicating and expressing love and being with one another in a physical way. So if you have all the first three ingredients, and your relationship is safe and connected and passionate, then sex would be a part of that as well. Unfortunately, there's some couples or relationships who have used sex in a way to manipulate or to hurt or to control. And then the relationship becomes unsafe and sex doesn't feel safe as well. Because in order to have really a healthy sex life, you want to feel as safe as possible to be vulnerable. And if the relationship is not in that level, then it will be very challenging.
So, guys, you've heard Lizzie. If you want more sex, go and emotionally meet the needs of your wife, and then there's a higher chance that she will enjoy sex with you, and then you can enjoy it. You have it more frequently. Yeah.
Enjoy it together. It's part of the intimacies that come in with married life, but everything has to be in place for that to be in place too.
Yeah. I love what you share about the physical intimacy and the emotional and the mental connection. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's emotional, recreational, and communication, and then sex comes next.
So sex is number 4, okay? Not number 1. Much as you would like it to be number 1, guys. Yeah. Okay.
Emotional closeness first.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that's so critical, because when we first get together, it's precisely the emotions that are raging and high and in the romantic stage, yeah? And then it just falls off. So I love one of the myths you have about working on it, right? Like the relationship will not just be okay, but we actually have to work on it, yeah?
Definitely. I mean, to keep a relationship safe, connected, and passionate, both parties will have to get into that world together and understand it in a deeper way in order for it to move along in a very stable and strong way.
And I want to ask you, are there any like, while we all want the marriage to stay together, nobody marries with the intention of going our separate ways later on, yeah, but is there any reason why a marriage could just not last? You know, like, for example, my husband has changed, or my wife is abusive, you know, things like that. When would you advise one person to walk out of the marriage?
Well, you mentioned it already, right? Physical safety is really on top, at top of the list there. I mean, domestic violence and abuse really increased while people were on quarantine, lockdown, or circuit breaker. I mean, when people don't feel safe in a relationship because of various issues, psychological illness, personality disorders, substance abuse, excessive risk-taking that puts the whole family unsafe, well, these marriages will really have to end. And as marriages do end, unfortunately. But I think, if people early on in their marriage are knowledgeable on what they need to keep a healthy marriage, then, it is possible for everyone. But yes, marriages do end.
I hear you. Okay. Okay. You shared that you do have some couple goals.
Yeah, well, you know what? The reason why we have these couple goals is because, during quarantine, couples were finding out that they didn't know what to talk about.
Okay.
They didn't know what to do with the time. They found themselves bored in each other's company, lonely and isolated. And sort of like, this is early on during the circuit breaker time, and that's why it's for a whole 30 days. Really just some ideas to give the couples in order to care for one another, to connect, to communicate, and to make sure they make time. One of the things that I really like here is for conversation starters, right? For couples to start talking. What was the first thing that attracted you to one another? That's a nice thing to talk about. Maybe bring out old photos, look at how you looked like before and things that you did with one another. Talk about the first things in your life, your first date, your first restaurant, your first movie, your first kiss. I mean, it's just to have fun with one another and sort of like lighten up the mood during this time of pandemic. We know that, we need to hold on and truly, see this through. You want to make sure that you're a team. You want to make sure you're supporting each other. You're there for one another, and so on.
And will this be available at lisypuno.com?
I think it's on my Facebook pages because I posted that early on, before the lockdown. So Lissy Puno, counseling psychologist, and affairs don't just happen. Their Facebook pages where this photo is available.
Great. And guys, you have to take a look at this. For those of you who may not be able to see the small visual, it's a calendar of 31 days, but she has 32 different ideas. And on day number 7, make love. And then there's a bracket, repeat, so different activities per day for you to just explore. Because I'm sure that while my husband will prefer probably day 10, I would like day 4, for example, give each other massages. Yeah. So look, it's a very good resource. Yeah.
I think it's, we have this time together during the circuit breaker. And, life has been busy for many people. Some couples have a commuter partner who's been traveling, traveling regularly for their jobs. And so they say we don't have time. Couples are also finding the work from home quite stressful without the boundaries of work time and personal time. But hopefully with this calendar, you could find it quite useful.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, and we're reaching the end, and I want to thank you for this most fruitful time in I think the one greatest takeaway that I trust every viewer has is that affairs and exactly don't just happen. And a marriage really takes work, not just from one couple, but both to meet each other's needs. Yeah. And so you will be able, Lizzie, do you want to talk about this too? Lizzie has two workshops. One is Getting the Love You Want. That's for couples. Do you want to share just a little bit more on this?
Yeah. So, we all find ways to, well, we've completed our education. We've gone through secondary school, we've gone through poly, we've gone through college, university, and even postgrad. I'm always looking for the couple who majored in marriage. And I don't think I've found anyone who's truly gone through a course in marriage. And Getting the Love You Want is now on its 32nd year, being offered worldwide, being offered internationally in 43 different countries. And so it is a weekend workshop from Saturday to Sunday. And I hope that, couples will be interested in joining. It's a gift that you could give to your relationship. It's an investment on how to really learn how to keep a healthy marriage growing. Now, our relationships, our marriages, it has a social responsibility. It is essential for social transformation, badly needed in our world today. So our marriages so healthy couples will raise healthy children, and altogether you have a healthy family to offer a healthier world, badly needed in our society these days. Now, to complement Getting the Love You Want, we have a weekend workshop for parents and other child caregivers called Connected Parents, Thriving Kids. And it's also a course on parenting and how to stay connected with your children, which is based on research, the super protector for resilience, which is again needed for children moving forward post-COVID.
I thank you so much, Lizzie. And to conclude, I just want to thank you for being with us. And you really highlighted something. When I look at that couple course done in 43 different countries, it's the one thing that comes to my mind is this. I'm sure that's statistics, right? When a couple chooses not to stay together, apart from domestic violence, the same individual will face a similar problem with another partner. Am I right? And the joy go on.
A lot of marriages that come out of an affair that is a product of an affair. I don't have the statistic in my mind right now, but usually also fails a second time.
I love that. I don't love the statistic, but I love how this can be used as an encouragement. So I don't know about you viewers out there, but I've been through horrible times where I threw my husband out and he slept at his sister's place. And if we've been through it and can be so much more in love today, it's worth it, right? Like we had to iron out so many differences and give in and listen. Even without the course, So with the course, I can imagine it's like the expressway. It would be so much easier, yeah?
Well, Junia, I'm very happy for both of you and your husband. And, I wish you all the best in this commitment of yours to bring information to many people through your program, Modern Asian Mother. It's awesome. All the best to you. And I wish that, you could reach more people in order to offer them really a life that is fulfilling and meaningful.
Thank you, Lizzie, for being such a wonderful guest on this and for being an expert, so generous with your experience and your knowledge. You have a great evening, viewers. Until then, I'll see you next Thursday. Bye.